welcome to another El Cachorror movie reviews. This is one I've been kind of sitting on for a little while because I've seen the movie a little while back, but finally figured out it's finally time to talk about it. It is Antman and the Wasp Quantamania, a movie that's had some really mixed takes out there. It's gotten a lot of hate from a lot of places, and once again, it's another movie where I feel that is unjustified. I think the movie, I found the movie to be fine and entertaining. And that's what matters to me the most. I think a lot of people put too much hype on the movie and made over expectations on it. Let's see. I don't know the actual budget of the movie, but the other two Ant-Man movies were both under $200 million budget. And so far, the Quatamania has grossed worldwide $447.5 million. And everyone acts like that's, oh my God, end of the world. I think we live in a world where people are still spoiled by the giant blockbuster movie, the billion-dollar movie, which used to be commonplace for us to see. In fact, 2019, we had 9 movies gross over $1 billion. Every Marvel movie, Jurassic World, Aladdin, and the other one they made, Lion King. John Wick, I think, was in there. There's a couple other movies in there that I wouldn't even say were probably that good of movies. But everyone's used to it. After post-COVID world, that's only happened like 4 times. Spider-Man, Top Gun, Avatar, and I'm pretty sure Jurassic World Dominion barely got there. And keep in mind, Jurassic World Billion, and that got there because it was out in theaters for like 2 months or longer. In fact, I owned the movie on Vudu when it broke $1 billion. So that's how long it was stayed in the theater. So it was already out. You could already buy it when it hit $1 billion. So it's not like, it just crept its way up there. So it's not it's not common. You can say it's the pandemic. You can say it's the fact that the inflation's out there. People aren't blowing their money on tickets if they don't feel good about a movie. Or I actually think is the bigger issues. It's the streaming services. Everyone who wants to see it, the big fans that want to see Ant-Man, saw it the very first week. After that, the odds of you seeing that movie go way down because you're to the point where you're like, I'll wait for Disney Plus. We know it's going to be there in like 2 months. That's just the way this world works. Movies are on the rush to the streaming services as fast as possible. So either you instantly go see the movie, or you decide you're just going to wait for if you know it's going to a streaming service, you wait. And so I think that explains more of its big drop-off than the everybody go, it's a bomb! I don't think it's a bomb. And I can justify that real quick. The IMDb rating for it is 6.5. I feel that is low. I'm above that. The Rotten Tomatoes scores, the critics gave it a 47%. So for one of the rare times, Marvel. I could make some guesses on what I think if I read some of the critics, that would be their issue as well, but we won't go there. The audience score for it is 83%. So actually, it's very overwhelmingly positive by the audience score. So it's the loud minority online that are making this big deal about this movie not being good. Me personally, I give the movie a 7.5. I thought it was a fun, enjoyable movie. It had good action, good comedy. I thought some of the visuals were done really good. Yeah, there may have been a few shaky spots with the CGI, but overall, I totally enjoyed the movie. It was a run-of-the-mill comic book movie. It's what I expected from an Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man is a B-C-list character. He's not a top-tier character here, folks, and I think that's where also a lot of problems are coming in, is people are, I think, like I said, the over-expectations. The last 2 Ant-Man, so like I said, we told you this movie made how much it made. 447.5. So far, it's still going to make more than it. By the end of its run, it's probably easily going to be over 500 million. That's, like I said, in a time where movies aren't making as much money. Now, let's factor this in. How much did the first Ant-Man movie gross? Like 512 million. The second Ant-Man movie, Antman and the Wasp, that grossed like 637 million, if I remember correctly. It's definitely just a little over 600. And the first one was over 500. So this movie is easily should catch, at least make as much as the first Ant-Man movie. It might not get to 600 million. No. But it's right on pace, so it's right in the same neighborhood as the other two Ant-Man movies. So why is everyone expecting this movie to be so much bigger? And it's because of the Marvel landscape. The first two Ant-Man movies, like I said, he's a minor character, not a big one. These movies came sprinkled in movies like Black Panther, Captain America, Avengers, Iron Man movies. It was in the middle of those. So it was okay. So people didn't focus on how much it was doing because it was a break from the big hitters. Right now, we don't have any big hitters. Right now, so people can make the argument, oh, well, when they first made those Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, they weren't big guys. They weren't the most popular characters in Marvel at the time, but they were well-known, established characters that people grew up knowing of. Everybody knew who Captain America was. Well, now, our big hitters are the Eternals, Shang-Chi. I guess we have upcoming Disney Plus shows of Echo and stuff like that. It's like, these are characters nobody knows. And when you're taking an Ant-Man movie and considering it one of the top Marvel character movies at the time, there's your problem. Ant-Man's not supposed to be this guy up here at top level. He's supposed to be this guy right in here, the middle of the pack guys. When just your sprinkle guys. The problem right now is Marvel is giving us other stuff. What you need to do, Marvel, is give us Deadpool, Blade, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Those are the big hitters. You do the big hitters there, and you sprinkle your new guys in between those movies. That's how the system should work. That's what worked for you before. Then you'd get your surprise hits like a Guardians of the Galaxy, which I have no problem. I have no fear in that third movie when it's coming out, because right now they think the sequels are bad. Well, sequels do usually can be bad down the road. Guardians of the Galaxy I would think will do fine. I don't think there's any. I think everyone has good expectations for that. The Marvels movie later in the year, I'm not sure about because people do have a distaste for Brie Larson, and as well as a distaste for anything that's female led. We like to use that W. They like to throw that W word at everything, even when it doesn't apply. They just automatically assume it applies just because if it's not white male, it's the W word. But I like the first Captain Marvel movie, and so I'm one of the few that can say that I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. Sorry, I did. So this I feel like the next one might be all right too. But that's off the subject of this movie. So I think it's doing just fine for what it is supposed to be. It's an Ant-Man movie. It's doing right in that. I just think the expectations are too high. Maybe it's because of the introduction of the reintroduction of Kang. Maybe that's why he's supposed to be the new big bad. So I guess I could see maybe that is why some people are having issues. But whatever. I give the movie a 7.5. It was a fun comic book movie. It had action. It had humor. That's what I expect from. It's give me what I expected from an Ant-Man movie. That's where I sit on it. All right, so now we'll talk a little bit more about the movie itself. The cast was good. Paul Rudd was excellent as always. Evangeline, was okay. I mean, kind of felt like her part was a little minor. Like she wasn't as used. The two older, Hank and Janet Pym, or whatever, they're background characters. Jonathan Majors as Kang was fantastic. Thought he did a great job. Really, really liked him, and look forward to seeing more versions of his character. I do worry that they may have used the best version of Kang on this one there. We'll get into that a little bit too. The big argument of Catherine Newton, the recasting of Cassie Lang. No problems with it. I have no issue with them doing it. I don't know about the first actress that played the part, how she could have stood in the role of things. I don't know what she's even doing these days, if she even does acting. I'd have to look her up. The girl from Endgame had a 30-second scene, and her only line was "Dad." I don't care about them recasting her. Sorry, I don't. They wanted this part was going to be a bigger part. They wanted a bigger name actress, a more popular actress. They got Catherine Newton. I thought she did a really great job. I really liked Cassie. I really enjoyed her character a lot in this movie. We also get a short scene with Bill Murray. I thought he did really good in his short spot on they put him in. And it's pretty much, for the most part, everybody have note that I would say. A couple other characters that were kind of cool. Don't really care too much about them. But So let's go and attack what I may call the weakest part of the movie, and where I think a lot of also hate comes from this movie, is they introduced a MCU and Marvel character, which people wanted, even though they shouldn't have, because it was not going to work in live action. At least they found the proper spot the only movie that they could possibly put him in. That is m.o.d.o.k. m.o.d.o.k. in the comics is a giant floating head with a tiny body. Is the most ridiculous looking thing in the world. He's often treated like a joke in many places, and any time he's ever been in an animated cartoon or something like that, he's always comical. Because it's a stupid looking character. He's an absolutely ridiculous and absurd looking character. So they found a way to squeeze him in, make him here. When he's got his mask on, I think he looked okay. But when he upped his mask, we find out so what they changed him to is they took Yellow Jacket from the first movie, who got pretty much shrinking in on himself and shrunk down to the quantum realm. Kang found him, gave him this new flying suit thing, and so now he's just got a tiny body and a big face. And yeah, the face doesn't look good. It doesn't really look good at all. They try to make it look like kept look like that. Shows this a big stretched out face a little bit with his body. It don't look good. The CGI is not the greatest on the face. I'll give everyone that complains about that. I also wasn't a big fan of the story arc they gave this character. Definitely, he's the worst part of the movie to me. Weakest part of the movie. Like I said, I liked everyone else. A lot of stuff that happens in the movie, I thought, people go with the cookie cutter Marvel formula. Maybe it kind of fits into that. So the characters of Cassie, Hope, and Hank are making a device that lets them kind of send signals down to the quantum realm. They're trying to make a map of it or something like that. Janet freaks out when she finds out they're doing this and tries to get them to shut it down, but at that point something else sends a signal back, and it sucks all of them into the quantum realm. Key thing to mention for later is Hank also shows there he's an ant farm of these highly intelligent ants that he's been working with. They're supposedly good at working on electronics and stuff like that. They also get sucked into the realm. They'll come back later. So once they land there, they find out there's this whole world down there that Janet's been keeping from everybody because she was afraid of some people finding out about an evil bad guy down there called the Conqueror. But at the first we get separation. Scott and Cassie on their own. And the other three are together on their own. Scott and Cassie end up getting caught by m.o.d.o.k. and taken to Kang, who then forces Scott to... So what we have is we'll find out Janet met Kang down there when he got exiled to the quantum realm. They formed a bond and friendship and were working on trying to get out. He was going to take her back to her world. She was able to touch the machine and see his memories and find out that he's a conquering, murderous a-hole that conquers planets and kills everyone. So she obviously turns on him, destroys his machine, so he couldn't escape. So Kang, after he catches Scott and Cassie, threatens that he will kill Cassie unless Scott goes into the heart of his machine, shrinks it back down to size because Janet did something that made it just blow up and make it huge. Shrinks it back down, and so he can use it to power his ship and leave. So obviously Scott has to do this because obviously he's the father. Then the other part of the group shows up at the last second to try and stop it. Kang ends up getting away with Scott shrinks the machine thing anyways to save Cassie, but Kang gets it anyways. So it leads to the giant climactic battle scene that you get in Marvel movies, where they rally the entire quantum realm to rally against Kang and his army before they can leave to go conquer Earth. So there's a major fight scene, and then obviously our big heroes go in. We see the ants that got sucked in they got sucked back at an earlier time, and now have evolved into this highly intelligent species, and they're pretty big too. and their aid is what pretty much comes to pretty much save the day for everybody. Then we get this giant climactic battle between Scott and Kang. They open a portal, everybody goes through it, but Scott has to fight Kang. They keep Kang from going there, and he's Kang's he's putting up a good fight against Kang, but Kang is kind of kicking his ass. Then Wasp has to come join the fight, comes back through the portal to join the fight to help Scott. They end up killing Kang and destroying the portal machine, making it look like they're stuck in the quantum realm, which right there I think would have been the perfect ending. I do agree with that. I think that right there is where you should have ended the movie. Them being the heroes, they stopped the bad guy from escaping, but now they're stuck. But the movie keeps going on, and Cassie and Hank open up a portal so they can get out. Kind of weakens the whole ending there a little bit. That does weaken the ending for me a little bit, so that's probably what keeps the movie at a 7.5 for me. Could have probably been higher if they had that better ending. But so be it. And then Scott's left pondering because Kang mentions that there are other. He's the only one that can stop the other ones. So Scott's wondering if he made a mistake or not, and that's where that movie ends. Then we get the cutscenes, of course. Marvel likes that, and one of them is a multiverse of Kangs. Like I don't even know how many, like thousands of Kangs, are all united together. And then we have a group of, I guess, the head ones all talking. There's like an Egyptian one and a couple other different themed ones. Which personally, I still like the one in the movie better than the ones in the cutscenes, so hopefully we'll see where that goes. He just kind of felt like way better than these guys did. But they're talking about how the exiled one was killed, and now they know they need to go after this version of Earth because it's now a threat to them. The other cutscene is a tease for the Loki season 2. It's Loki and Owen Wilson character, whose name I can't think of. Morpheus? Some of the name, I think. They're at like some kind of old-fashioned, back-in-time show with an actor on a stage who is a Jonathan Majors, another version of Kang. Kind of seems like this one might be closer to the Loki season 1 Kang than it is the evil Kangs. So maybe they're trying to find a Kang that can aid in the battle. So that's where it ends. So then your typical scenes. Like I said, I do. So you could argue that maybe we got a really good version of Kang here, and you introduce your big bad, and just to have Ant-Man, a low-level character, beat him and kill him. Maybe I could see the argument for that, but we know we have a whole army of Kangs coming, which I don't know. That could be good or bad. I mean, if you have like a gazillion of the same bad guys, hard to say, but might still work. But it's still a fine movie, enjoyable. I had fun watching it, and it was what you expect from an Ant-Man movie overall. And that's my take on that movie. So thank you for watching, and until next time, Cachorror.